I'm Kirsten Lambertsen. I'm the founder of Kuratur. That's K-U-R-A-T-U-R. It's an internet startup I've been running for almost a couple of years now. I've been doing internet startups for a long time, since 2000 when I founded my first startup called BeautyRiot.com, which was the first virtual beauty makeover software that you could use on the internet. And we had to use Shockwave to build that back there. So what Kuratur is it is the painless way to always have fresh, relevant content on your website without having to write it yourself. And the way that we do that is we power a page or pages on your website with content that you choose from sources from social media, like Twitter feeds, Facebook page feeds, and RSS feeds. So what you do is you put together a web page of any combination of feeds like that you want, organized any way you want, and then it can either be hosted by us on our site, or you can export it to your WordPress installation. We only work with self-hosted WordPress right now. We don't work with WordPress.com. To export that page to your blog, and then it'll work there. And what happens is it just updates itself as often as every hour with fresh content from those sources that you have put into the page. And I'll show you how that works just really briefly. So this is what you're looking at here. This is the tool where you make your page in Kuratur after you've created a Kuratur account, which is free. Everything with Kuratur is free right now. And it's fairly intuitive. You know, it's a drag and drop thing. I have a few items in already, but I'll show you how it works. If I wanted to add my own personal Twitter account feed to this page, I would drag and drop a single Twitter user content unit over here onto my page layout. And I've chosen a 2-column layout, but we have 2- and 3-column options right now that you can use. And then what I would do is type in my Twitter handle. Then what you have here are, you can do the kinds of filtering on the content that comes from this feed that you would do, say, on any kind of web search or anything like that. You can say, only show posts that contain all these words, only show posts that contain this exact phrase, only show posts that don't show these certain words. And then you can, right here, decide how many of the most recent posts you want to show from that feed at any given time. So it can be 1, it can be 50, whatever you need it to be from that particular feed. So I'm just going to put in 5 as kind of a good option. Did I put it? Oh, you know what? It's because I don't have an internet connection. My internet's not on, so it's not going to do all the tricks. But so that's how you put together a page. You can also add any different number of kinds of Twitter, information. You could pull in a Twitter list here, or pull everything that appears under a Twitter hashtag. You can use content from any public Facebook page, or you can pull in any content that contains a keyword that appears on a Facebook page. Only public Facebook pages are allowed to be used this way. And then finally, RSS feeds, which everybody knows about, right? Okay. Finally, you can put in a header, a subheader, or even just a loose text unit anywhere you want on the page. So if you want certain things to be static on the page, you can arrange it that way. That way you can kind of put together content from around the web that tells the story you want to tell by combining it the way you want to combine it with the headings you want over it and any text that you want to go with it. I need to be louder? No one ever tells me I need to be louder. That's crazy. Okay, so after you've done all that, what you're going to get is a page. Let me show you the one we're going to work with today. Oh, no!
No, hit OK.
Oh, hit OK?
Yeah, accept it.
Oh. Then I'll get internet?
Then go back to the page.
Okay.
Just ignore that, go to those tabs.
Do what?
Ignore that.
And submit? Okay. It's okay. I have a contingency plan for this. It doesn't matter. What it looks like is something like this. So this is one that I've put together for a group of ladies that I hang out with here in New York City. We call ourselves the Danger Ladies. And this is just one most recent tweet from each one of the Danger Ladies. And then I put in, these are all static here. I put in each of our names static. So the static elements are nice for SEO because they never change, they're always the same. So if you wanted to have a page all about hairless cats, you could put in lots of hairless cat, long tail keywords that were static on your page and it would work very nicely for SEO. And then the other stuff would always stay fresh. So the way you're going to make this work with your WordPress blog is very simple. You go to plugins where you normally would and you search for Kuratur and it'll come up as a plugin. And it's also in the plugins area on WordPress.org and install it. And what it installs is really super simple. That page with one field and a button. That's it. What you do is, yeah, I'm still going to need internet. Oh, I think I have internet. Yay. Okay, so when you're in your magazine, which is what we call our pages magazines, what you do is when you're all done making it the way you want it, you go to the Publish Share tab and scroll down, and there's a key here. There's an API key here that you copy. And then you go back to the plugin on your blog, and you paste it in that field and say import content. So it's going to import the current content from Kuratur, from your Kuratur magazine page, into your WordPress blog. Yeah, I'm not sure what I got going on. But anyway, it'll import it and then it'll bring up a new page, not a post, but a page. And all you need to do is give your page a title, whatever title it is you want it to have, and click publish. It'll add the page to your blog, and from then on out, you don't have to touch it. No, it actually.
Can you repeat the question?
Does it generate a Kuratur page?
Right. So she asked if you need a short code or anything like that on the page to make it work. The answer is no. The plugin spawns a new page in your system.
So it will be given a name, but
No, it leaves the title blank, so you can title the page what you want to title it. So you're going to end up with a new page, like you were starting with a new page. It's going to have content in the content field, though, already, that Kuratur has imported in. The title's empty. You need to title it if you want it to have a title. Then click publish. It's not published yet.
So just to understand, if I, let's say this at work, if I went on to pages right now, there would be a page with your Kuratur content, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, let me see if I can
now how did you
get that.
from the plugin to the place, the control panel where you set it up?
Okay, so the plugin shows up after you install it. We show up here in your menu. Sorry, I should have said that. We show up in your menu, and then all you have to do is plug in that API key and click the button. Everything else is done for you except giving the page a title.
Okay, where about the API key in the back end in my settings?
So you get that from Kuratur. You've been over at the Kuratur.com site and you've created your magazine there. That's where you've composed it. You've done all that drag and drop at Kuratur.
Get to Kuratur.com.
Yeah. And then, so we were here, and you put together your page the way you wanted it to look. When you were all done with it, and you can preview it. Let's see if this works. Okay. This isn't the page I'm going to demo to you today, but this is what. And by the way, this is not the way, the aspect ratio seems to be messed up on the monitor today. Kuratur doesn't actually squeeze the photos. So you can make sure it's the way you like it, and then you come over to the Publish Share tab, and at the bottom is that key. And you copy that, and then you go over to your WordPress blog. And you find Kuratur in the menu, because you've already installed the Kuratur plugin, and you just paste that key right here. Except I pasted a URL.
This is a free service while it's beta.
Yes. I anticipate it being free for a very long time. I don't anticipate being in beta for a very long time, but I anticipate the product being free for a very long time. And then you just, you have to kind of do this little radio button and do import content. There we go now. So it pulled in that content into a new page, and the only thing missing is a title that you need to give it. And you would give it a title and click the publish button over here that's kind of obscured from us, and you'd have a new page on your blog that on its own would update with fresh content. You can set, when you're a curator, you can set on your page how often you want it to pull new content from your sources. You can do it once a week, you can do it once an hour, however often you need to do it. But the plugin will do that as well. It'll come and it'll get the fresh content as often as every hour.
Is the page in a default template, or does it have its own template?
Great question. That's what I was going to tell you next. Is right now it chooses if you have a wide page template without a sidebar, because it really looks best in that. If you don't have that, it'll put it into whatever you got in your default. But in just a couple weeks, we're going to update it, and this content itself will be responsive to the size container you put it in. So you could even put it in something, one column wide, and it'll just stack itself like a nice responsive layout would. Okay. And so after you're done importing this is my blog. This is my self-hosted WordPress blog, American Misfit Kid, and this is my Danger Ladies page. And as you can see, it's got stuff from just yesterday. These guys don't tweet a whole lot very often, but and that is that. It's as simple as that. It's very handy. We have about 1,600 users now. A lot of them are consultants, freelancers, people like that who want to be able to share content that they like, that they think is really relevant with the people who come to visit their site, but they don't have time to be writing something new every day themselves, but they want to have at least authoritative stuff on their topic on their site. This is a great way for them to do that. Any questions?
Is there any way for you to send an email with the front page so that your clients don't have to come to you, you can go to them?
Oh, gosh. We don't have that facility ourselves natively. And we have, of course, had requests similar to that before, so that's definitely on the short dev list.
If you cut and pasted that into an email, what would the content of the email look like?
Well, when you go in and you want to look at the code of this page, what we're actually doing is importing HTML. The Curator plugin just pulls raw HTML into this page. So if you were to pull this HTML, this styling, a lot of the CSS styles are in there, though we try to inherit mostly your styles on your blog so that everything matches perfectly. But the columns and stuff are in the styling, so if you were to copy and paste this into MailChimp or something, HTML, it might not work too bad. You might have to do a few things to it, but it might look pretty good.
I assume you could have more than one of these pages on a single site too?
Yep, absolutely. And on Curator right now, we don't really put a limit on how many pages you make either. You can make as many as you want.
Then I can create a landing page for somebody wants to just follow the stats on their campaign or brand.
Yeah, so she said I could make a page for people who just wanted to follow stuff about their own campaign or brand. And we do have people use it that way too. It's sort of like a clipping service for something they're trying to keep track of personally. So not necessarily as something they're going to publish to the world, but as a personal tracking system.
Once you've created your page, is that page then strictly limited to the curator content?
Well, okay, so what would happen is you could go in here right now and edit this page and change it if you wanted to, right, in your WordPress blog. But when it updates next, it's going to overwrite all of that and put in a whole new, brand new, all fresh HTML in here. So the short answer is no, you can't really put your own stuff in here because it'll get overwritten. Unless you were to somehow do it in the template that you were using. Yeah.
Or plug in or something else.
Right. It's just that anything that would be in here, yeah, it can't be.
That was actually part of my question. I was wondering if you take that and put it into a div.
Into a div. Right. Again, it would have to be, I think it would have to be done through the template, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I was
If
thinking
you were to
maybe that's the
modify your
template.
wide template, you might.
I was either that or I was thinking facing up and then
You could try it. I don't know if that would confuse the plugin, because the plugin spawns its own page and probably remembers the ID of the page. So I don't know what would happen. I'll test that.
I was just saying, it would be, or the other thing too is I guess you could put it into an icon.
You could, but again, I don't know what the plugin would make of that, because the plugin thinks it's going to spawn the page itself the first time, and it might be remembering the ID.
But hold it in the template.
But if you put an iframe in the template it uses, then it should be okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, please let me know if you try these experiments. What happens?
Will you ever be able to build a page from inside WordPress, or will you always have to go to your?
Oh, so you're wondering if the page builder tool will ever be available just inside the WordPress environment?
Yeah.
Yes, I think so. I don't know exactly how soon that will be, but I can see every reason why it should be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it just easier to start it that way?
So what happens is when you build a startup, we started with Kuratur.com, and it just worked there. And then we decided the first thing we should do now is do a WordPress plugin, right? That's so no-brainer. And you want to do it the fastest way possible. So we started with just a simple plugin that would just do this. And then you see how many people say to you, will you please make this whole thing work inside WordPress? Then you know you need to do it. Yeah.
Does it work in any other platform like Linux or something else?
So we haven't built any integrations with any other platforms yet. WordPress is, and we're very young, so WordPress is our maiden voyage.
You also said that you're not charging yet, and you're giving a lot of pages so far. Do you plan to limit the number of pages and to start charging soon?
So, no, I don't plan to start charging soon. The business model that we're working with right now doesn't require us to charge our end users. And in fact, it may eventually allow our end users to make money with it. And I won't say more than that because it's stealth, but that's the idea. And we probably will limit pages, but we have to figure that out, because it doesn't matter if you have a lot of pages, but you have a lot of pages that are also like taxing the hell out of our servers, then we might have to start looking at how we make that work.
You have a question?
One last thing I'll put up, 30 seconds worth. Anybody who wants to contact me, there's my contact. You have 5 seconds to write that down. Okay, thanks guys. Thank you for your attention.